Okay, my friends, get ready. We're going to take the deepest dive into salt that anybody has.
Well, that just sounds unpleasant. I mean, salt isn't even a liquid, usually, and when it is, it gets a little toasty, as I understand it, so not exactly the kind of medium that you're wanting to enter either way. And that's before getting it in your eyes, throats, or ears, making you drier than a dead dingo's donger. F*** that.
And salt is these kind of formations nobody's ever been able to explain before.
Are you sure about that, Roger? Because after like 2 minutes of research, that being reverse image searching your picture, finding the name and what it is, I can only come to the conclusion that you are freaking terrible at doing the most basic of inquiries. That is the Jashak Salt Dome. It is, in fact, a salt dome, and we do, in fact, know how salt domes are formed, aka we have explanations for it. Therefore, absolutely someone's have been able to explain it, and for those who care, they are formed in basins and occur due to evaporations in the most simplistic of terms. Great.
When I show you some of the formations, it's going to be hard not to understand it.
Mate, you're doing the thing again, you know, where you look at something, decide it looks like whatever, therefore it must be that thing, forgetting that they rarely actually look like it, the same way clouds that look like things rarely actually look the same, just kind of similar. And that again, we have an explanation. And even if we didn't, you just making shit up is not a substitute for actually doing a science at it. And yes, that does involve a lot more than just looking at photos other people have taken when it comes to this kind of geology, but trust me, it'll be worth it.
Once you understand mud fossils.
Oh, Roger, I understand mud fossils, especially yours, and that's why I know they are absolute lunacy that has nothing but you and your channel's nonsense backing it up. And it still staggers me that you have a comment section that looks like this, with people oohing and ahhing about how brilliant you are, while you sit there and point at yet another rock and say it looks like whatever thing that is in your head this time. And then of course they come and say stupid shit at me about how brilliant you are, because they are the worst.
So let's get started. I have some in the microscope and we're going to be looking at all kind of different things.
Okay, awesome. Let's see what absolutely staggeringly stupid conclusion you come to today, Roger. But I think we all know that whatever it is, it will be something that only someone whose ignorance could be described using the word
deeply.
As there is nothing more deep than the void that exists inside your head where your brain is supposed to be.
Okay, my friends, you know how I started out.
You poke a screen with a random implement and then everyone is so shocked by such egregious technology abuse. They don't even notice that you said something so profoundly untrue, even Matt Powell is looking at it and thinking, damn, I thought I said some bullshit. Ah, that's not true. I'm not convinced that he's that self-aware.
I start from the end, and then I tell you how we got to the end.
Oh my god, Roger, did you just admit that you are a presuppositionalist? That you start at the end, that is to say, with your conclusion, and then work backwards? Because that's, well, both completely unsurprising, but also incredibly disappointing to realise in its obviousness. Because of course that's what he does. He looks at a thing and he says, that's a what have you. Okay, we already knew he did that, but then he works backward to try and make that make sense. I mean, it doesn't. It never even comes close to making sense or proving his conclusion, but I don't think that really matters to him and his fans, because evidence is not something that they value. It's the, hey, look at this incredible thing I worked out. Emphasis on incredible, aka not credible. Because, you know, who cares if it's true? It's only about the feeling of knowing something amazing.
Which is that everything I can find is biological.
How about this, Roger? Why don't you try not assuming that you are correct all the time and then looking to figure out why you are so correct and smart? And probably have farts that smell like sunshine, and instead try this for me. Have no conclusion, at least when you start. Don't think that everything is biological, but instead start with, I don't know, and then study things, experiment on them, and record the results on a bunch of things, in a bunch of ways. And then when you have as much evidence as you can find, let the results of that tell you what the answer is, or as much of the answer as possible. Let the story unfold from the information you have and follow it wherever it goes, even if it goes somewhere that you don't want it to or isn't super mind-blowing amazing and merely just somewhat interesting or whatever. And that's your answer, and you stop there and move on to the next thing you want to know. And if you repeat the process with that and it changes the answer of the last one, even better. It's called science, Roger. It would be wonderful if you actually did it for once in your life. Maybe then the universities would actually fucking listen to you.
And so is these salt mines. And this is pink Himalayan salt. This is baby back ribs.
Ah, god damn it, Roger. I hadn't even looked at what was on his screen. Of course, there are meat mines. I mean, after all, planets are entirely made of steak and are effectively giant creatures with fucking vaginas and everything else. So, of course, if you dig down, they are full of bacon. I mean, they aren't, of course. Those are just some of the batshit claims Roger has made in his time.
Now, how did this happen?
Well, if we go with the non-everything and what look like explanation, I assume it's some sort of deposit from salt water that has then been buried under some other kind of layer, and then people found what was there and did a mining on it. But from your model of earth and meat, and that's all you need to know. Don't need to prove that it's meat. Don't have to read the actual research, which at no point says that it is for some bizarre reason. I mean, that is why I imagine Roger is convinced that he is the world's most expertise human alive. Because yeah, if you think you have everything figured out from 5 minutes of just looking at it, you're going to know quote unquote everything about everything in like no seconds flat. And yet for some reason, those smart stupid actual scientists only ever seem to become experts in one tiny part of the science that they actually research. It must be because of how stupid they are.
How did this happen? And not only that, you see this? This is where the
bonkers is stored? I don't know, but hey, let's have a closer look at these images, shall we? And not his blurry mess recorded on a screen from a screen. A thing he should have stopped doing about 1 million years ago, since it's not fucking hard to do screen capture and editing. I mean, he's an expert at everything else, but apparently can't learn something that the rest of us figured out years ago. But yeah, when you compare them directly, the idea that they look the same is of course ludicrous. And that's not to say that those salt caves don't have a look that would take you a minute to realize what you are actually looking at kind of quality. But seriously, anyone who thinks that these are the same things needs a new goddamn prescription.
The muscle fiber was, and this is tendinous material right here.
No, and if I were to guess, that's salt, and that's also salt. Since you are in a pink salt mine, and that's what everything around you supposedly is. I mean, for fuck's sake, Roger, do you think that someone might have, oh, I don't know, actually studied the material from those walls? And again, that's not just holding a chunk and screaming, mate, but like dissolving it and putting it under a microscope and all that kind of jazz. And yet not one of the likely multiple people who did that came out of their labs to excitedly tell the world, holy shit, guys, the big pink cave, it's actually a giant fucking pork chop. Who would have knowed it?
And we can home in now a little bit better. I'd love to be able to see these places right up close and personal, but I'm never going to do it.
But why though, Roger? I mean, it's not like you don't have the following where if you asked them, I bet they would fund all sorts of stupid shit for you to go traveling around the world and look at these places. Maybe get some direct samples. You don't look that old and you don't appear to have any issues that would prevent you from traveling some distance. So I don't really understand why, unless I put my cynical hat on, which yes is just my normal helmet. I would hazard a guess that the real reason you would never do it is that you're worried about getting yourself proven wrong. That you don't want to put the actual effort into doing this because it's gonna be a lot harder to make stuff up in front of the actual thing than it is to just stare at blurry memes and spout bullshit. That or you're on all the no-fly lists, which wouldn't surprise me really.
But this is the attachment going down into the bone or muscle or whatever. It went in to lock this tendon in.
Bone or muscle or tendon, but never salt or whatever the material we are currently discussing actually is. And does the totally a bone down there actually look like that? Do you not think the people who put the floor in, who were probably just like contractors of some description, how did they not notice? It really does take an entire world of people missing what seems to you to be the patently obvious for your worldview to survive, instead of the more obvious solution of you're not right about fucking everything. And arguably, I would imagine you're never right about fucking anything.
Which locks this meat into this position, so the meat can pull and do whatever it does, and this is the anchor.
Meat and anchors. Well, if I ever did hear some highly accurate and articulate biology speak in my life, it was right now. We should just throw out all our textbooks and have them rewritten by Roger with all of his "'cause that's what I think" science. I mean, I'm sure he assumes that's what real science is. It's just people's random opinions on how things work, and not the endless study of the kind he couldn't possibly fathom.
Now these little blocks here, you see these little blocks? I was looking at these and
What, the floor? Wait, please don't tell me that he's gonna say that that's part of the meatness of the place? Seriously, because I give Roger a hard time, but I don't actually think he's as stupid as the things he says. I genuinely think that if I could for 1 second get him to actually engage his critical thinking, this whole debacle could be solved. But if he even remotely thinks that those aren't man-made as part of the whole place for people to visit vibes that I'm getting from it, I mean, look at the lighting. Then I'm going to have to admit that Roger might be a bit of an idiot.
I can't tell you, I got to be honest with you, I would assume they cut these in here, you know, it's because they're so perfectly patterned. However,
nothing, Roger. That's a goddamn floor. And I don't think it's cut in. I'm pretty sure that it's either tiles or it's made out of the surrounding material because aesthetic. Seriously, it's like your brain works in the exact reverse to a normal person. They see this place and knowing that they are in a salt mine might look at the roof and go, that kind of looks like me. Anyway, that would be too ridiculous. It's obviously salt. But you look at it and go, here we are in the meat mines, huh? This floor looks like it's made of tiles. No, that's too logical. It must be something fucking stupid.
You are nothing but little blocks, the same as me.
Okay, I'm sorry, but you are going to have to repeat that.
You are nothing but little blocks, the same as me.
Yeah, that's what I thought you said. And I guess Roger is a Minecraft creation. I mean, it all makes sense, doesn't it? Because you can create a computer in Minecraft, but it's dreadfully slow compared to the hardware that it would be running on. So if Roger is a Minecraft person, he's dreadfully slow compared to the hardware he is running on. Look, it makes more sense than the caves are made out of fucking gammon, okay?
And that's possible that these are natural. I
Look, I'll give you that. It's possible for shapes that you don't expect to be natural. Like Giant's Causeway. It's the kind of thing that the uninformed might look at and go, holy shit, who built that? But it's not. But here's the thing about somewhere like that and then this place. Giant's Causeway doesn't have fucking light fittings underneath it. This is a visitor's chamber, and if you see it slightly further away, you can clearly see that there's fucking brickwork put there on purpose to look nice. And that's before we consider what the hell you mean by made of blocks, because if you mean that these are supposed to be like cells are not anywhere near that big compared to the thing that would be constituted of them. Even a moment's thought and actually bothering to fact check would have shown you the absurdity of the things that you say. God damn it, Roger.
Not even going to come close to saying that that's true. But
oh, come on, you just did. And you know that your audience is a bunch of credulous morons who think everything you say is the most smart guy genius shit ever. So even the mere suggestion would be far more than you should be saying them if you don't want them to run off and spout dumbass shit to the rest of the world.
It's not outside the realm of possibilities, let me put it that way.
No, For that, it absolutely isn't. It's just you are unwilling to go any step further than what you can see right now as your full understanding of a situation. In fact, I'm pretty sure he doesn't actually find of this shit on his own. I mean, I know for a fact that people send him this type of crap too. And if we consider that he can't figure out the basics of video production after years of doing this shit, it stands to reason that he doesn't know how to use a search engine. Oh shit, that's why he can't travel either. I bet his local travel agent packed up, and now the only way to book holidays, for him at least, is online, but only if you know how to write "me am want travel" into Google, and that's just far too much for him. Damn.
Alright, see this is the tendon. That's the muscle which turned into the saw.
Here's a picture of meat. See, that means I'm right, even though again the actual thing I'm talking about doesn't look like that. And if you actually bother to think about it, you will see that it's a very, very, very silly thing to say.
The tendon goes right down either into the bone or wherever, but there's a bazillion little straps here coming down, and who knows if that's what's showing up underneath here or not. I don't know.
Yes, Roger, I know you don't know. That's the point. You are arguing from ignorance. You are building this giant, overly complicated worldview where you have made this amazing set of many, many, many discoveries that throw the entire understanding of our universe completely on its head. But you have no idea if any of the things you are saying about it follow, or if the extensions of your ideas would continue on, because you don't know, and worse, are self-admittedly unwilling to find out. And then you are shocked and genuinely annoyed that the wider scientific community don't pay you any attention whatsoever, but that it actually must be some sort of conspiracy. And yeah, you know what? It is. It's just that it's your own brain conspiring against you to make you and your fans look like a bunch of fricking idiots.
Wait, before you go, I have something super important to tell you. It's life or death. It will change everything forever. Nope, wait, it's gone. Oh well, probably wasn't important. But while I have you, don't forget to comment, subscribe and notify. And if you want more of my smexy voice, check out Mrs. Six's channel Spoonstaff Stories, where I narrate and voice all the videos, and she does the work. And if you want to support the channel, check out the merch store for cool t-shirts, or check out Patreon, memberships and PayPal to support directly. Finally, follow me on the medias of social to get completely pointless guff and to keep up on the latest releases. Oh, I just remembered what I was going to tell you. Whatever you do, don't touch the